Oh, wait. I need to clean my camera. Okay, so I've been talking for like 5-10 minutes and it didn't record anything because I clicked the wrong button. Oops. So, hi again. Kia ora. I'm Pat and I just discovered solo role playing. It's a new thing to me and I just wanted to get into it. It seems like lots of fun. It seems like an intersection of a lot of things I enjoy, like reading, writing, making things up, art, updating websites, making little game elements. I don't know, like, I feel like it's a catch all for a lot of different hobbies. So I'm going 0 to 100. So I discovered it a few months ago. I literally started playing though 2 days ago. And here I am recording a video. Oh! So I'm going to be doing an actual play. I think that's what they call it in the world of ttrpg. So it's an actual play of Iron Valley. You can see it on the thing. And also The Wandering Tea Garden, which is a solo journaling RPG. I'm kind of using The Wandering Tea Garden. Wait, am I supposed to explain what solo RPGs are? Okay, backtracking a second. So basically, with role playing games, like initially they came about as tabletop role playing games. Dungeons and Dragons came about, and all the fun nerds. Sorry, not in a pejorative way. I'm a nerd also. Anyway, so all the nerds would get together and hang out, and then they would play Dungeons and Dragons and like be wizards and warlocks and warriors and stuff, and be orcs, like beat up orcs or whatever. And they would do that on tabletops. And it was traditionally a social activity. And for me, like, I love being social, but the idea of hanging out with people and them looking at me and me looking at them while I try and come up with what my character is supposed to do next, no, that seems super stressful. I'm just gonna play by myself, which I have always thought, like, it would be so cool if I could play by myself. Except I didn't know that was a thing because clearly I don't know how to Google. I don't know how I found solo RPG, but now that I've found it, I'm like, here we go. This is it. This is the thing. So that's why I'm recording a video. So, yeah, with solo RPG, the idea is that you don't have a game master or GM. You are the game master. But also the dice and oracles are the GM. So the oracle is like telling you your fortune to add randomness. I'm like going all over with this explanation, but I don't know anything about solo RPG, so you're just gonna have to be like, watch a different video, okay? Like, I'm here for the vibes and the story. And so the randomness basically helps you come up with new and creative scenarios that you wouldn't otherwise have thought about. And that makes it more than just writing, because you could 100% just like write yourself a story, which I do. I love doing that. But it's so fun to be like, I'm gonna write a story, but it's a game because the system or the story interacts with me. Like I actually started playing this game 2 days ago. So literally we're gonna play the game that I started 2 days ago because I didn't realize I was gonna record myself. So we're just gonna have to rewind. Anyway, I was gonna do it a certain way, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should roll for that because dice, that's what they're for, right? I was like, let's just see how that works. And then I was like, it has to happen. I need this to continue the story. And then it was like, no, absolutely not. That's not a go thing. Like, you can't do that. And I'm like, what? So then I had to come up with another idea, which still got me in the same place, but better. And you'll see what I mean when I actually do the actual play part. But yeah, this is probably too much preamble. Um, so I'm guessing I can fix it in post where I'm gonna put timestamps and people can just skip the part where I ramble about solo or roleplay. But basically, with solo roleplay, I'm just gonna keep digging a hole. With solo roleplay, I'm gonna be posting these videos on YouTube and also to my personal website, along with like the text form of my actual plays, which probably won't be as in depth as me like enacting it for the video. And also on my website, I'll have information like about the characters and world truths, as they put it in Iron Valley. Yeah, this is an evolving thing. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I literally just made this on a Canva for OBS, and I am charging my iPad so that I don't have to like scroll too much. That seems like a lot. So can my hand show up? No, it doesn't. Oh, what is... I swear I saw something. Oh, that's weird. Okay, hang on. Let me fix that. With this game, I'm just figuring out how to use OBS. This is my first time using it, so sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. My plan is I'm going to first write, like maybe interact, like record the interaction, and then write into the document, like Obsidian document, and then record me reacting to, like, reenacting what I wrote, instead of being like off the cuff and being like, this is what my character did. It's gonna be like, okay, this is what the dice said, and now I'm gonna go, and then I'm gonna say what We're back. I was dealing with technical issues because I was noticing my hand show up out of nowhere, and that was very distracting. Anyway, what was I talking about? I don't know. Yeah, so if you're watching this, you should skip to the part where I talk about the game, and then skip to the part where I actually play, because my explanation of what solo RPG is not that great. Okay, so the system that we're playing with, the setting I'm using is The Wandering Tea Garden by AP. I found this on itch.io. I believe you can get it for free / pay what you want. I think that's how it works. And the idea here is you are the proud owner of a wandering tea garden. More than just a garden, this is a tea shop and your home. Your time is spent foraging from the variety of plants available as you travel, crafting new herbal infusions, serving customers, and tending your garden. And I thought, wow, that's like so cute, so pastoral, so very like, I don't know, vibes. Very cute. I love it. Also, I'm not sure what kind of animal this is, but it looks cute. So I just realized that this carriage has 2 levels. My carriage does not have 2 levels. I'm just putting that out there. I don't know, I got distracted by that. So that's the base setting that we're going to be playing with. And it's a journaling RPG, so it's quite bare bones in terms of the rules. So we've got some prompts here and a foraging list. And that's it. That's like 3 pages. It's super cute. I like it. Because I'm new to this, I feel like I don't have enough to go on if I'm just using 3 pages. Like, yes, I just started writing the other day. Like, I literally just had these 3 pages, and then I was like, and then I kept writing, and then I was like, well, what happens next? Do I have to wait until I do, like, move locations before I do a new prompt? And then I was like, maybe I should roll a die. And then I did. And then I was like, ooh, maybe I should watch how people do this online. And then I went on YouTube. And then I watched 5 million different videos about solo RPGs as well as actual plays, because I have no control of my life. No, actually, I was painting like walls, so it made sense to have things playing in the background. I'm not a degenerate. Not really. Okay. So, anyway, while I was watching all those videos, I was like, oh my gosh, Iron Valley. I must play this game. I watched a couple people playing Iron Valley as well as Apothecaria. And I was like, oh my gosh, both of those would vibe really hard with Wandering Tea Garden. But I was like, no, we're just going to stick to one, and we're going to go with Iron Valley because it seems really cool. Also, love that Iron Valley was made by a trans person and was made with the support of trans people and queer people in general. Just love that. That's vibes. Anyway, so Iron Valley is going to kind of like beef up the mechanics that I'm going to use, so it's not just me writing and then a prompt and then me writing to make it more like a game, more dynamic, more game, less journaling, then ta-da, Iron Valley. So this has like 244 pages, so that's a lot. So just backtracking for a second, Wandering Tea Garden is going to provide our setting, and I will probably also use, so like for example, here are 6 settings. I rolled for this yesterday and I rolled for this 2 days ago, and I got 5, a sprawling city atop a cliff. I haven't really talked about the location that much. It hasn't been pertinent to the story yet, so, but that will come up anyway. I will also be using these prompts here to add flavor to, and maybe the foraging list, to add flavor to what's happening in the game. But to, as I said, I'm going to be primarily using Iron Valley to help me really flesh out like what I'm doing, how I'm going to interact, like what are the moves I'm making in the game. If you want to play Iron Valley for yourself or Wandering Tea Garden, I have to say this is not the video for you to watch because I don't know anything. I'm going to keep saying that because I literally just discovered this hobby. So I'm just going to experiment and do what I feel like doing. And if it's wrong, if I like it a lot, I might keep doing it even if you tell me it's wrong. I'm just saying. But if I'm doing something wrong and it might help me in my game, actually, you know what? Just tell me if I'm wrong. Just point it out. Be like, you're actually doing something really weird. Or be like, I don't know why I'm talking like this. Or you might be like, hey, actually, I think it would be really smart if you tried doing this. Then I'll be like, oh, geez, I didn't think about that. I'm going to totally try it out. Or I might say, I really don't want to do that. And let's just not have any hard feelings if I don't go with your suggestions. This is, of course, assuming anyone is watching. I could be screaming into the void, and that's fine. That's fun also. Did I mention, by the way, that you can also pay what you want for Iron Valley? Because I don't think I mentioned that, so I'm mentioning it now. Anyway, how to play. Like I said, don't go to me to know how to play. I don't know how to play. I'm just gonna play. But there is this page that tells you how to do it in one page. So pick your world truths, pick your character truths, and then envision your arrival into Iron Valley. And heads up, I do not arrive in Iron Valley. I threw that out the window because I have a Wandering Tea Garden. Yes, literally the 3rd line of how to play, and I've already ignored it. So like I said, don't follow me for advice on how to play. This is just, I'm having fun. This is a fun thing. Anyway, playing Iron Valley moment to moment. So you want to role play and envision what your character does. Cool. Whenever you trigger a move, you play it out. Nice. So I believe, I'm going to be honest, I haven't read all the rules yet. We're going to figure it out as we go. The moves could be things like, actually, I'm not sure. Let's click. What are the moves? So the moves in Iron Valley are try your best, which is when you're attempting something difficult or working towards fulfilling a promise. There is also time passes, when you lose track of time, which is a cool feature, I think. Like, what a cool mechanic. When you lose track of time, you mark 1 tick on the current day, and that's how you note the passage of time. I think that's so nifty. That's so cool. And then there is make a promise. So you're making a vow to like do something. That's cool. And then is there another move here? You also ask the spirit of the forest, which I think is really you rolling dice and like asking questions. So it could be anything. So like, for example, like, I don't think I'm going to use this necessarily. Well, it depends. Okay, so for example, on Obsidian, which is a note-taking app, but I'm using it to play tabletop games because I can. So basically, like, if I ask a question, I can be like, roll a d12. Ta-da, 9. I don't know if you can see that. And also, yeah, or like 100 or something. I don't know. So just as an example. Or it might be there are prompts. I haven't actually played this with this much. This is from the Solo RPG Toolkit. It's a plugin in Obsidian. What happens if I click this button? Interesting. To cutely achieve an average brilliance. I don't know what these prompts are for. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see them because they're not relevant to me right now and I'm getting confused. I'll come back to that later. Anyway, that's another move. I can ask questions because I'm like, game, tell me what happens next. But I do like that you can go with your first instinct or whatever seems most fun, or like roll. So that's cool. Are there any other move types? There's reap the benefits. So that's when you like complete a project or fulfill a promise. And then there's sharing is caring, which is you can give them stuff and then you get value from that. And then root around, nice, gathering resources, that's cool. There's let's make a deal. So you're trying to you're trying to barter, exchanging goods and services, and people want to be happy and haggle. So that's fun. I'm just gonna say in my actual play, I have tried to make a deal twice, but I didn't have Iron Valley yet when I did those things, so I didn't use these moves. But I will going forward. Do we have any other moves? There's also nurture a bond. So when you're ready to go closer to a townie and have at least 10 favor with them, you can kind of nurture your bond. And then I believe this relates to heart events, perhaps. You also can return the favor. So you can call for help or receive a gift. Nice. I guess moves are like individual actions or like snippets within scenes, like beats within scenes. If we think about, what's this? Okay, that was all the moves. I probably should have written that down. Let me pause. So to summarize, here are the 10 moves that you can do in Iron Valley. And I am going to try and use these as the same time as I'm using some of the prompts in Wandering Tea Garden. So I think that will help make it a rich but still very fun, very cozy kind of game. So yeah. Basically, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, she's gonna go and, I don't know, fight dwarves or beat things up, this is not the game for that. This is a game of coziness, relationships, fun, dare I say, romance. You might see on the screen, it says tea time with your orc lover, because that's the goal, is that my character will fall in love with an orc and will be her lover. I'm gonna keep it GPG rated, just FYI. But yeah, I really wanted to play a romance game because I love the romance genre. I just love to read romance. I don't care if people say it's trashy. Who cares? I also love reading nonfiction and journal articles and other like boring stuff. So I'm like, if you think that I'm dumb because I read romance, that's a you problem. I'm just saying. So the plan is that this game will be very focused on let's do cozy things like gardening and traveling and talking to people and just having fun. Things that I could be doing in real life, but I'm choosing to do in a game instead. That's escapism. Woo! Okay, so with that in mind, wait, I should go back to explaining the rules. Right, so we trigger a move. We just said that. Okay, the next thing is that whenever you commit to a goal, like helping someone else with their problems or getting some work done, you begin with a make a promise move. Ooh, we just said that. And you do the try your best and an action roll if you're doing something difficult. Reap the benefits is when you filled enough progress boxes. Cool. And time passes, you mark ticks on your current calendar date because there is a calendar system. We love that. And on the 4th tick, the current day is over. By the way, if you get a strong roll, because I read this part of the rule, if you get a strong roll, then time doesn't pass. Because you know how, like, when you're on fire and you're just like, getting things done? That's how it is in the game as well. It captures that essence of flow and just being on top of things. So then you get to skip marking a tick, which we love. And yeah, if I need an idea, apparently I ask the Spirit of the Forest. So it does cover briefly some of the moves that we just quickly looked at. I probably don't need to read them out then. Anyway, so picking your world truths. Wait, let's scroll down. Flow of play, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. So the game flow is as follows. Chase promises. I guess they're kind of like the quests in this game. You want to make a promise to yourself or to friends, and then you try to commit to spending your time fulfilling it. You lose track of time by doing things. And the game book is quite cute in terms of describing how you lose track of time, like taking extra long to cook, chatting the hours away, getting lost. Maybe getting lost is slightly less whimsical, but in this world, we're going to assume that getting lost doesn't put you in mortal danger. I guess you could also get lost doing like random things, like you're, I don't know, gardening, and then you decide to look up at the clouds, and then you just like look up at it and you're like trying to figure out what that cloud looks like. That could be one way you lose track of time. Different ways. Anyway, each morning marks a new start. So you get to plan and think about what you're going to do, and you check the weather. So I have that here. So let's say we start in spring. Boom. It'll tell us the weather. I don't know if you can... It says on the screen, but I don't know if you can see that very well. Anyway, go away. Take part in the community. So in my version of the game, we're not playing in Iron Valley. Like I said, we're going to be wandering the world in our wandering tea garden. But the idea is that people in the different villages, cities, towns will also be vibrant and cool, and we'll hopefully meet recurring characters as well as like new people. So that'll be fun. And hopefully I'm able to keep track of all of that in my head. Actually, I won't keep track of that in my head. I'm going to use Obsidian to keep track of that for me. Anyway, so we can do things like, there are holidays. We love that. And then there's a request board, so you can complete requests and fulfill promises to people. I guess if you are like, I will help you with your request, then you're making a promise to complete the request. Anyway, and then you get satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. I don't even know if that's how the song goes. So as you do things in the game, then you gain satisfaction, and then you can use satisfaction to purchase new skills and upgrade old ones. That's cool. So instead of trying to track XP, you're just like, you're doing things, you feel good about yourself, and then you're like, I'm better now because I've done things and I feel good. Which is probably easier to keep track of than being like, how much XP do I have left? I'm really glad I'm starting with this and not something that's super... Is the term crunchy? Like, yeah, because if I had to track 5 million stats, like that would be fun, but only if I'm not the one tracking them, because that seems stressful. Anyway. I'm not gonna go over this stuff. We will go over it when I'm actually playing. Look, it's the making moves stuff. And then after that, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so if we go back. So going back to how to play, we start by picking our world truths. Iron Valley has suggestions in terms of what kind of truths you should have in your game. They are, you're moving to a place known as Iron Valley. Where is it? Can I copy paste this? In my case, Iron Valley is a state of mind. Lol. Instead of a town. Instead, the vibes of Iron Valley translate across different locations, but maybe less so in the big cities. So the cozy vibes is less about the town itself and more about the world that the characters are inhabiting. So that's one. The next question is, what kinds of people live in Iron Valley? And the game gives you suggestions around what kinds of people live here. And I went with, there's a myriad of fantastical ancestries coexisting in peace. So I have written, sentient people of various species live in this world. Humans, orcs, elves, gnomes, dwarves. Other species are considered non-sentient, such as animals or plants. That's a world truth. The next world truth, I think it's the last world truth, is there magic in the world of Iron Valley? I'm not sure where this voice is coming from, but just bear with me. Copy, paste. Yes, there is magic in the world, which you feel in the elements and channel through potions and runes. Magical effects can be felt through food and drinks as well. All have magic, but some are more adept at wielding it than others. And I think the character I'm making will be using magic. At least that's the plan. I also have some additional world truths. So within Iron Valley, there's no provision in terms of money. It does say, like, money exists. But in Iron Valley, people prefer the barter economy or the favor economy. And I'm following something similar in that precious metal coins are accepted currency in this world, especially for larger purchases. And you're going to see this straight away because I'm trying to get myself a carriage so that I can be a wandering tea garden. Like, not me, but like the character. And I don't think it's realistic for me to be like, I'm gonna barter with you. I just feel like it makes more sense for bigger purchases to be like, yeah, money, here you go. In saying that, I'm not gonna be keeping track of money per se. Like, I'm not gonna be like, I have 10 gold coins and 8 silver coins and 2 bronze coins. No, I'm gonna be kind of like airy-fairy about it. I'm gonna be like, I have little gold. I have a good amount of gold. So it's vibes based. And it's purely because it seems like too much work to figure out an economy. I don't know how inflation works in the game. I don't want to deal with that. Like, cost of goods and services. So how much would you have to take into account labor, and what about the cost of the goods themselves? What about, I don't know, like some economies, like some villages will be better at exporting this good, so it might be cheaper there, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I can't deal with that. So it's gonna be like, you receive payment in gold, silver, or coins, or whatever coins, or through favors. So I did write this here. Precious metal coins are accepted currency in this world, especially for larger purchases, but bartering favors and errands is the preferred method to exchange goods and services, which is the same thing in Iron Valley. I think I'm just more explicit about money exists. My character will be using money. I'm just not going to be explicitly declaring how much of a quantity of gold, silver, bronze she has. That's too much. I don't want to do that. Maybe in another game where it's already been fleshed out for me, then cool. But in this game, I don't want to deal with that. Anyway, here are some additional world truths that I came up with because I just felt like it. I've got donkeys are much stronger in this world and can move at a regular pace, slow, and they can also trot, canter, or gallop if ridden, or even if they're drawing carriages. I explicitly have this here because my character is going to encounter a donkey early and she wants the donkey. Like, not in a like weird way, like as her companion, as her pet companion, whatever. The donkey is going to be her friend and will draw the carriage. And then I was thinking to myself, is it realistic for a donkey to be hauling a massive tea garden carriage that has the weight of soil and plants and like a cafe set up, like the furniture, and a person and her bed? And yeah, I was like, that's probably too much for one donkey. I should maybe have more. But I was like, I kind of just want her to have the one donkey, so it'll be kind of like her dog. And so I've just decided donkeys are stronger in this world. Perhaps all animals are stronger in this world. Could be. Like maybe all animals in this world are more enhanced in whatever stat they're most renowned for. So donkeys are stronger and horses are, let's say, faster. I have just made that up. Let's write that down. Any real world, any earth or fictional animal creatures will have enhanced in this world for their main stat. That doesn't sound right. Let's do it again. For any creatures or animals, fictional or real world, their most renowned quality or trait will be enhanced. And then we have the donkeys thing. So we've got that. Donkeys are much stronger. Also, horses are still the preferred riding companion and carriage drawer for anyone who has need of riding a horse and drawing carriages. Anyway, but that's more to do with status. It's not because horses are better than donkeys. Donkeys are super cute as well. Okay. There's also electricity and electrical appliances, but because I don't want to deal with the physics, I'm just gonna hand wave and say the electricity is magic. That's how we're gonna go with that. Yeah. So like these lights that I'm using, we're gonna pretend, I don't know, like maybe it's powered by a mix of fire and water magic. That doesn't make sense. I haven't thought this through, but electricity is magic, okay? We're gonna go with that. And also, sending letters by post or pigeon is how people communicate unless your voice carries. So unless you can, like, I don't know, project your voice across valleys, then you probably are keeping track of people via post or pigeon post. There will be pigeons in this game. There will be many pigeons. I'm going to try and shoehorn as many animals into this game that I can, because I just want my character to be able to hang out with all the animals. Because if this is escapism, then it needs all the animals. And all the animals will be friendly, and all the animals will want attention and pets. Or maybe, like, I don't know, if there's a lion, maybe the lion doesn't want pets, but we can respectfully gaze at it from a distance. Those are all the world truths I have at the moment. I will keep updating my lore or whatever. I don't have a name for the city that we're currently in, or that we start in this game, so I guess I'll come up with that when I actually do the actual play, because this is like, I guess it's like episode 0, like we're just starting. Anyway, now we're gonna do your truths, like your character's truths. So, what's in your name? Let's open that. So, I have started coming up with this character. Her name is Sampaguita Roses. I have decided that as much as possible, I'm going to be using Filipino names, because why not? I don't know. I might do a mix of Filipino and, I don't know, regular names, who knows, or like fantasy names. I don't know. Anyway, ancestry is she's human. Oh, another world building thing is humans are 4'11", like 4'11" to 5'4" in height, typically. I don't know why I wanted everyone to be short. I just felt like it, but my character, Sampaguita, is gonna be like 5'9", I think. I didn't even write that down, but she's like 5'9". It's not important to the story except that I don't think she feels superior about being tall. I think she's just kind of like, I'm tall. And it's just something she deals with. I don't know. It seemed important to me that people were short and that she was tall. Is this because she is going to have an orc lover? I don't think so. Anyway, her ancestry, I've decided, like I said, is human. Her pronouns are, I already said, she, her. And gender presentation is feminine. Her birthday is fall 13. I rolled that earlier, which I should have done on camera, but whatever. And the reason why she's leaving the big city that we are starting the game in is that she wants to grow a garden that can brew the most beautiful teas. And then I made a note, promise is make 15 teas from garden, because that's how the game works. Like, you have to track your promises. So I guess I could come up with a fancier name than make 15 teas, but anyway, that's what we're at. That's where we're at. Where are you staying in town? She's going to be in a donkey-drawn carriage, wherever she may be. We're probably going to have to make a map as we go, so that's going to be fun. A hex map. We love that. And promise relating to that is she needs to fix up the carriage. I also did a random roll in terms of like what's in your backpack. So you start with 3 different items, and she's starting with a cookbook, farm fresh eggs, and a kalimba, because kalimba instruments are magical, so we're gonna have kalimba goodness. I have an actual kalimba, so we might bust that out. Do I know how to play it? Not really, but it makes pretty sounds. Anyway, how long does she plan to stay? She will be traveling from town to town, but I think she will be returning to towns, like some towns more than others, depending on how it goes. In terms of the Iron Valley rulebook, oh yeah, let's just scroll down here. So strengths and weaknesses, these are to do with your stats. You have 5 stats that represent your ability at tackling problems in various ways. Edge is all about speed and agility. Heart is about communication and empathy. Iron is about strength and endurance. Shadow is about being mischievous and sneaky, and it's a stat that rules over magic. And Wits is all about intellect and reasoning. And across these stats, you want to have 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. So I was going to do a random stat array, but then I kind of just felt like I'm just going to decide what her stats are based on what I know about the character. So as I said, she just wants to grow a beautiful garden. She wants to make the best teas. She wants to make magical teas. That's her goal. So for that purpose, because she's starting a tea garden cafe, she's going to be good at empathy and communication, open heart. She is also going to be fairly smart and fairly like mischievous and chaotic / magical, and least good at, what was Edge? Like being fast and being strong. Was that what it was? Yeah, being fast and being strong. Okay, so low endurance probably means she gets tired fast. That could be problematic. Okay, well, we'll just see how this works then, shall we? Okay. And this is the part that I haven't done yet. I haven't actually come up with any skills that might help me here. So we could either do the skill oracle, which I guess I'm going to have to pull that up on my screen, or we can go into the chapter on skills and come up with what skills would be most beneficial for her. Okay. And then after that, we start the game, which ideally is like you arrive into the Iron Valley, except in my version, there's no Iron Valley. The whole world is Iron Valley, kind of the vibes. So my game will start with her trying to procure a carriage for her to travel in. But before we do that, we're going to have to come up with skills. Even though I already did the adventure, like this part, but since we're doing the character creation, like the setup, I may as well just do this properly now. Okay, so when you're playing an Iron Valley game, you don't get experience points, but you can gain satisfaction from fulfilling promises, and that can be used to purchase and upgrade skills, which is cool. But we do start the game with 3 skills, and one of them will be upgraded. This is my first time reading this section, so we are learning together. Cool. So it's time for an upgrade is part of the move time passes, and when you're doing that, you can spend satisfaction to purchase a skill or upgrade it. Purchasing skills is cheaper, but upgrades can have a larger impact. So that's good to know for later. And okay, that makes sense. Skill upgrades must be purchased in order. All right, cool. What is this? So does this mean, okay, +1 to roll. All skills purchased grant the ability +1 to roll, meaning that if this skill would be helpful when doing an action roll, you get to add +1. Cool. +1 tick on hit. So purchasing the first upgrade gives a skill the +1 tick on hit ability, meaning that whenever you get a weak hit or a strong hit on a move, you may mark 1 additional tick on the promise you were working on. And also, if you purchase a second and final upgrade to a skill, time passes only on a miss ability. So you only have to do time passes if you score a miss. That sounds very, very helpful. But it will probably take a while to get there because you first have to buy the skill and then upgrade it and then upgrade it again. I actually was worried that there were going to be a lot more options for skill upgrades, but it's kind of nice that it's so simple. Like, oh, okay, I can probably figure this out. Oh, okay, I'm not as stressed. And we've got a bunch of skills here. Let's see. The categories are, we've got nature skills, crafting skills, movement skills, social skills, intellectual skills, naughty skills. Okay, funny. Magic skills. Is there anything else? Okay, and you can also have custom skills. Look, like you've got nursing. That's kind of unexpected. So if you think your character should have a skill that's not present in this book, then you can go ahead and do that. Skills need to be specific though. But also don't be so specific that you only use it once every couple of sessions. Okay, so they have provided a few like nursing, surfing, pastry chef, psychic power, shapeshift into bear. Okay. And ideally you write down the skills description. Okay, we can do that. All right, but let's I don't want to waste your time by reading absolutely all of these skills and then recording that because I don't think it'll be that interesting. So I'll just briefly explain what I'm thinking in terms of what kind of skills she might need. So in terms of, we've got 3 skills. Oh, I should probably describe my character, right? So Sampaguita, if we go back to her. So she wants to be, I haven't described what she looks like at all. So I guess we will discover that as we play the game. Anyway, Sampaguita, she's like maybe mid-20s. And she wants to grow a beautiful garden because she wants to brew beautiful teas. Like she wants to make like exotic, really cool blends. Like she's passionate about tea for some reason. She grew up in poverty with her mother, like solo mother, and she's lived in the city her whole life. So, and she's always been working hard but like really interested in plants, but she hasn't had as many opportunities to look after plants growing up because they didn't have much money. And she just wants to have a beautiful life. She has a kalimba. I think she was gifted one. We'll go with that. So based on that, I'm thinking that it would make sense for her to have okay, so their nature skills are about living and interacting with nature, which sounds like it would be useful. But I'm not sure if... Okay, there's one to do with foraging, which I think she would have on the basis that she was, what's the word? It would either be foraging or farming, because that's the skill that she's trying to work on. I feel like she probably did more foraging in the city. Like, I know it's like on a cliff or something, but there are pockets of greeneries, and then she was able to do foraging. I feel like story-wise that could make sense. She doesn't yet have the farming skill, or maybe she does, but it wouldn't be very good. So I'll think about that. Farming, let's put a pin on it. If I don't pick up farming, then I will try and get that as soon as possible, because she needs to be able to farm for her story to work. Yeah, but I'm thinking maybe foraging will be the first one. So I am just gonna talk through the skills, I guess. Anyway, crafting skills are about transforming resources. So blacksmithing, building, carpentry, cooking, mechanic, tailoring. So cooking, does cooking count for brewing? Because she's like into tea, right? Like, this is kind of like part of the inspo is Wandering Tea Garden, the ttrpg, but also part of the inspo is Demon World Boba Shop, which is a lit RPG. There are 4 books in the series. It's so much fun. It's very cozy. And this dude just gets isekai'd into a world full of demons, except everyone's like really nice. And the main character gets really into making boba. So I would like my character to make boba and regular tea as well, which is very like Uncle Iroh and Zuko in Avatar, the last Avatar. Wait, what? Avatar. Avatar, the Last Airbender. Oh my gosh, did I get that wrong as well? Not the blue Avatar, although technically his tattoo is blue. Anyway, I'm not sure if cooking will cover that as her skill, or if I need to do one that's specifically drink making. I'll have to think about that. Okay, anyway, moving on, we've got movement skills: climb, jump, swim. Cool. We've got physical skills, like, yeah, doing stuff with your body: lift and push, shoot, strike, throw, wrestle. I don't think she's gonna have any of those. Let's be real. She just wants to get along with people, I think. Social skills. Okay, we're probably gonna find something here. They've got barter. Nice. Like I said, I made her highest stat to do with communication. I think it was called heart. So maybe we do need to pick up a skill from here. I think that would make sense. She has barter. I mean, she doesn't have it. She might get barter. There's also flirt. There's inquire, performance, and public speaking. Okay, that's so interesting that these are skills. I don't think she would be good at public speaking. I don't think she would be doing performance. I think maybe it'll either be barter or inquire if I'm going to pick one from here. Oh, we'll think about it. But definitely the first one is foraging. Okay, and then we've got intellectual skills. There's academics, there's learning things from books, there's admin, you gotta do the paperwork. Making coffee could potentially fall into the skill, but only if you're not having fun doing it. Okay, so then we would not get admin because she loves making drinks. Art is about expressing creativity. First aid is first aid. Searching is about looking for stuff, which seems kind of similar to foraging, but probably more specific to like items. There's also science. Very cool. That would actually be interesting to play a game with that skill. And there's also naughty skills. So I don't think we're picking anything from the intellectual skills. Just looking at it again. Nope. Okay. We've got naughty skills. There's lie, mischief, sneak, steal, I don't think we're picking those at this stage. Should she know how to steal because she grew up poor? But I don't want to make the assumption that because she grew up in poverty, therefore she's a thief. That ain't right. So we're not going to do that. Magic skills, we've got candle magic. Nice. Emotion magic. Enchantment and fortune telling and garden magic and hat tricks. Wait, we should probably actually read through these properly. So candle magic, heat and manipulating heat and energy, like candle-like flames, making a source of light, small fire. Cool. Attract a whole lot of moths. Emotion magic, being able to perceive emotions and the surface thoughts of other people, or projecting your own emotions. Okay. Or creating weather through your emotions. Interesting. Okay. Enchantment is about enchanting objects. Okay, that's cool. Fortune telling is about being able to gain insight of the future. That is cool. There's garden magic, gaining the ability to manipulate the soil and the earth. Making garden mages are known to make crops grow faster and tastier. I've decided that, wait, is that cheating? So in Iron Valley, the game, plants grow faster in the Iron Valley. So I'm not playing in Iron Valley, so I have decided that the Wandering Tea Garden, it's going to have the soil on it is going to be magical. So it's infused with the garden magic to make things grow faster. So that the idea is that instead of the soil in Iron Valley making things grow fast, it's going to be, she has the special soil from Iron Valley. Not from Iron Valley. From someone who does garden magic. I don't know. Will be on her carriage top, and that's how she grows things faster. So it won't necessarily be her growing crops faster. It's just that the soil is already imbued with magic that helps make it grow faster. I don't think that's cheating. I'm going to go with, I'm just tweaking one of the rules in the original game and then, just changing it a little bit to suit my purposes. Anyway, there's also hat tricks. You would be able to perform entertaining, blah, 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 fun. We love that. Liquid magic is probably the one that's most relevant to her, but I don't think she will have this skill from the beginning. Like, I think she's gonna have to unlock this because anything liquid-like can be manipulated using liquid magic, such as soup. Just an idea. Okay, but I want to do things with the tea. Like, I don't want the tea to be like, ooh, we're gonna make the tea hotter or something. It's like, I want the tea to have an effect on people drinking the tea, So I don't think it would be necessarily liquid magic. It might be emotion magic. Okay. Or rainbow magic. Or soupification? Anyway, let's keep going. So maybe liquid magic, maybe not. Moon magic is about manipulating the darkness. That's cool. Probably not for her. Rainbow magic is about creating incredible illusions and mirages. That's cool. That would be very cool in the context of her teas. Like, if she makes teas that, like, make you see things. Or, like, you drink the tea and then, like, woo, yeah. But again, she wouldn't have that from the beginning, so we'll skip that. There's soupification, magical craft of turning boring things into soup and tasty things into very tasty soup. Right. No, that's fine. We don't need soupification. Okay, sun magic allows you to empower your body for a short period of time. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. But we probably don't have that. Transmutation enchants is to people what enchanting is to objects. Using transmutation, you would be able to change the physical properties of a person's body, including your own. Oh, that's so fun. Okay, I think so. We might want transmutation in the future because that's the one where we're like impacting others. Okay, like if we're gonna try and do effects on people, that would make sense. But again, we wouldn't have this yet. Weather magic, ability to manipulate air, moisture, atmospheric pressure, la da da da. That's very cool. She's not gonna have that. And then we can have custom skills. So, okay. What skills would Sampaguita have? We're gonna have to give her skills. Okay, so I've pulled up the sheet from the Iron Valley game. We filled out the world truths. What is Iron Valley? What kind of people live there? Is there magic in this world? We've started filling out our truths. We filled out our truths for the character. We came up with our stats, our starting stats. And now we're trying to decide on what skills we should have. I'm noting that it looks like... I'm not sure if that's supposed to be already ticked. I feel like that shouldn't be, because it's ticked here. But there's no skill there. So, like, are we assuming one skill already does this? I don't think that makes sense. If we look at the rules, if I were doing the skill oracle, which I don't think I can pull it up on my screen easily. So when you get the Iron Valley game, it does allow you to look at certain things like in the Google Sheets version. So they do have, so if you want to do random skills, okay, I'm gonna go skill oracle. Okay, so with the random skills, it's just going to pick a random skill. It's not going to be... It doesn't explain the skills thing. So going back to the skills, you start with 3 skills, and one of which will be upgraded. I'm not sure if it means that it's upgraded by 1 or upgraded by 2. So if you look over here, at the first level, it's +1 when you're using a skill. And if it's upgraded once, it's +1 tick on a hit. And if it's +1, like if you upgrade it again, then time passes only on a miss. Unless I hear otherwise, I'm going to assume that one skill is upgraded to level 2, which is +1 tick on a hit, and not time passes only in a miss, because I feel like maybe that's too overpowered at the start, perhaps. So we're gonna go with that. But if I am wrong, then I will correct, and we will just say that in the game she became better at that skill for whatever. We'll come up with a narrative reason. But that's basically... I was about to say, like, we're basically done with the character and now we can start playing. No, girl, we cannot say that because I don't have the skills yet. I need to come up with skills. I am gonna go with... I'm just looking at a list of skills. I'm thinking for sure she's going to have foraging because that's how she has learned to do stuff. Whoa, what's with this? Okay, the images look funky. We'll just put X, or is there a nice way? I'll put an emoji. Let's go with heart. I actually don't know what you can see now because I have hidden Twitch. Not Twitch, OBS. So I don't know if you could see me finagling with the keyboard. Anyway, so she has foraging. I will do this off screen because that's bothering me that it's changing where everything is. Okay, so we've got foraging. That is a nature skill. I'm trying to decide if she already has a magic skill, but maybe I feel like it's too early. So we're gonna say that she has. It's a toss up. Like, I'm not sure if it's barter or inquire. So if we go back to this. Okay. We're gonna need one that's related to cooking, but it doesn't have to be cooking. So I think like maybe cooking will be separate from brewing. I feel like to treat it with the seriousness that it is, because it's her profession and her life's passion. We can't call it cooking. We're gonna have to call it brewing, and that's a crafting skill. Okay, so we'll put that there. And she learned that as she was growing up. But it's most to do with teas. She can also make coffee, which I would like that skill, to be able to make coffee from scratch. There's also, so we've got 2, and then we're gonna have a third skill, which I'm thinking will come from, did I already skip it? Skip past it. Nature, crafting, movement, no, okay. Social, okay, we're gonna go with social. The last one will be from social. Is she gonna be good at bartering or inquiring? Bartering or inquiring? Okay, I'm thinking based on what I know of this character and how I've started playing her, I think she's gonna be good at bartering. Yeah. She hasn't really asked a lot of questions yet, but like she's trying to make deals, which is kind of like an interesting way to think about a tea garden witch. Because I guess she's going to be kind of a witch. Yeah, that she's going to be good at bartering. But hey, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with she's good at bartering. She has a skill of bartering. Which one will be upgraded? Because this is like the last thing no, actually, the other thing I have to do is I have to come up with promises for all of these. And I have to decide how many squares each promise is worth. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to take a break to do that, because at the moment I'm like, oh my god, I have to think about that. Anyway, should we go, which would be highest, foraging, brewing, or bartering? I feel like you're more likely to use bartering in general, because I feel like, if you're growing up and you're not necessarily that well off, she may have learned how to barter with people, like, I'll do this for you, can you do that for me, and like been not assertive but kind and empathetic, and that's how she's good at bartering, and she's developed that. She probably wouldn't have been doing brewing as much because she wouldn't have necessarily had as many ingredients to play with, and maybe she started doing that more as like in I don't know, like in her later years, which is not to say she's old, like maybe in her like late teens to early 20s, and she would have been doing a lot of foraging since she was young, but maybe like bartering is the one that she's really like nailed. I feel like we're gonna go with that, and also I think it'll be a useful skill, so we're gonna go with that. And then I'm gonna think about the promise tracker, so I'm gonna like go, we're gonna like do a cut into me thinking about the promise tracker and actually having it on the screen, and then I'll just talk through it, and then we'll actually play the game. Or I could just leave this as episode 0. You know what? I'm gonna leave this as episode 0. Not yet. Like after I do the promise tracker, then we'll be done with like the world building, character creation, and then I'll get into actually playing the game in a separate episode. I think, yeah, because this feels like it's been going on for a long time. And I'm like, I need to have breakfast. So, yeah. We're going to cut. We're going to cut into the promise tracker. Okay, so I decided to read up on the rules, as you're supposed to do. And promises are basically the most important part of the Iron Valley game, in the sense that it's the mechanic that gets you to do anything. So we need to make sure we do it. Okay, I can search. So if I search promise, let's do that. So going back, time is a resource, and as we work towards fulfilling promises, time passes. So we want to be working towards fulfilling promises. So we want to make promises. To fulfill a promise, you need to start by having a promise. Okay, cool, fine. So they're the core mechanic. You need to make a promise to yourself, to friends, to frenemies. Apparently, even if you're making something like, oh, I want to bake a cake, you can make that a promise. Like, I am promising to myself that I am baking a cake. I'm not making up the cake example. It was literally an example in this guidebook, so I can show that. Did I click? Yeah, so that's the same example. I just got confused. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Next thing. Next relevant thing. Okay. Going back to how to play. So obviously we're going to role play. When we trigger a move, we play it out. And when we are trying to do something, it's usually we're making a promise. We want to start by making a promise, and then we want to take action towards those promises. That's cool. That makes sense. And you're like chasing promises. That's what you're trying to do. Like, that's the method by which the story keeps progressing. So you're trying to chase after promises. You're like, I made this promise to myself, and I'm gonna make this happen. I made this promise to my friend. I'm gonna make it happen. Cool. You can also break promises, but fictionally, you're gonna have to actually play out the consequences of that, which I think is interesting. I love that. Okay. So in terms of making a promise, you need to actually write down a number of boxes, maximum of 10, to represent how long a promise might take to fulfill. I was really confused by this earlier. So you've got like 4 boxes here. I wasn't sure, like I was like trying to figure out, do you just put 1 tick per box and then 2 and then 3? Okay, no, obviously not. Okay, I don't want to say obviously because I was very confused. So each box, you want to fill out the 4, which might mean you tick 2 or 3 things in one action, or 4. I don't know how many ticks you can get in one action, but it doesn't have to be, like, let's say you take an action, you're making progress towards a promise. You might tick one tick in a box. You might make it 2 ticks. You might make it 3. And if you hit the 4, then you move on to the next box. If you, let's say you have a box, and then let's say you decided, okay, my promise is going to take 3 boxes only. Let's say you end up actually taking an action that takes you beyond the 3 boxes. So now you're on your 4th box and there are 2 ticks in there from your latest action. That's fine. You just make the new box. The only time you can't exceed boxes is if you fill out the 10th box. So I guess if you hit 40 ticks for making promises or fulfilling promises, then that's it. No leftover ticks. That's like the maximum amount of satisfaction you're gonna get from promise. That's fine. Okay. What I'm still confused about is like how many. See? Okay, so here. We're starting a new game, so I have to start with promises. And we record these in the character sheet. So 6 might represent how many progress boxes to draw. I was looking through the guidebook, and I think it looked like the promises in the beginning, the promises relate to 1, the place. Another one is about about where you're staying. Okay. So another promise you make is why you left the big city. Another promise you make is where you're staying in town. And wait, just in case you're like, where did you see that? So I'm just scrolling through the setup of the game, and I can see here that if you go to why did you leave the big city, it says starting promise. Starting promise. Okay. Same thing with where are you staying in town? Starting promise. So you're staying somewhere. The idea is you're staying somewhere and then you're doing something with where you're staying. Okay, so those are the 3 starting promises. I guess in theory you could have more starting promises, but let's just scroll up. Let's scroll back up and see if I missed anything. So we were here, and we'll go down. Starting promises. Okay, these are all about the starting promises. Okay, so in the context of me working on my character sheet, we have why did you leave the big city? To grow a garden. Where are you staying in town? Donkey drawn carriage. And oh gosh, what was the 3rd thing? I immediately forgot. Why did you leave the big city? Where are you staying in town? And the 3rd one I think was about where? Like about the Iron Valley, like the setting. Okay. Let's write that down. I'm just gonna, like, if I ever play this game again, I want to remember starting promises. So the game book recommends starting with 3 promises. 1 about the location or setting, same thing, of the game. 1 about the reason you left the city and moved to Iron Valley. 1 about where you are staying. It's not about. It's 1 related. Let's make this tidier. Relating to the location, the reason you left, and where you are staying. So if we translate that into my game, so if we go here, why did you leave the big city to grow a garden? Okay, I'm gonna like immediately forget this. Let's just, like, I have to have this in front of me. Let's put this down here. I wonder if I need to put promise tracker in a new page. I'm not sure. Anyway, so, ooh, I'm not sure if I like the idea of it being in a table. If you're wondering, like, wow, you spent the time organizing this. I didn't. I went to the online resource that what's your name? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to scroll up. Starts with M. Merkin? Kieran. Okay. M. Kieran. Thank you. M. Kieran made Google Sheets and documents for some things, like, and that's where I looked for it. Okay, I've scrolled way too far. Starting promises. Okay, before I do the promises thing, I'm just gonna double check that I've actually completed all of the Your Truths. What's my name? My name is Sampaguita Roses. Cool. Sampaguita, by the way, is just the Filipino word for jasmine, like the flower. It's the national flower of the Philippines. And I just think it's a pretty flower, and I remember many times in my youth where I would basically just eat jasmine flowers, sampaguita flowers. You would just like kind of like grab them from bushes and then like peel them slightly and like suck the nectar, or you would just like chew them. So I thought it would be I guess, fitting for the main character to have a name related to tea. Maybe on the nose, but I don't care. I just like the name Sampaguita. So we're going with that. Anyway, so that's my name. Well, my character's name. Are you human? Yes, I am. What are your pronouns and gender presentation? I've previously said she, her are her pronouns. Gender presentation, feminine. What's your birthday? I rolled a random date for that, and it was fall 13. We also need to roll. Okay, we're gonna get to that. Why did you leave the big city? She wants to start a garden and make beautiful tea. I know, it's lovely. Okay, and where are you staying in town? In the donkey drawn carriage, which, by the way, she doesn't have it at the start of the game. Bear with me. We will actually get to the game at some point, probably in the next episode, but whatever. What's in your backpack? I picked 3, and then I skipped this part. When are you arriving in town? So let's do a random date oracle, which I do not have. I don't think I have that prompt here yet. So if you give me a second, I will grab the prompt from the Google Sheets and just put it in a table for my Obsidian. That way I can easily refer to it. So give me a second. So I have just added the prompt for, I'm going to go Iron Valley, and I've added the table for dates. So I'm going to go there. I'm just going to click this button. Boom. So it rolled 49 out of 100. We are moving summer 24. I should put this somewhere, so I'm going to put it in, just ignore that. So this is the first play. This is the first actual play that I'm going to go through, okay? I know. Like, you're not supposed to play the game already before doing your actual play video, but I didn't know I was going to make a video. I thought, like, I was just going to do it for fun, and then I was like, this is so fun. I want to share it with the world, so this is where we are. So I'm just going to make a note that date is... That's not what I want. Are you able to copy paste? Oh, you can. Alright, okay, so what I'm going to do is, because I'm extra. Oh, I need to make a note. If you're like, what the heck are you doing? So I have 2 obsidian vaults. One is my personal vault that has like basically everything, including this vault. So when I'm in my main vault, I can access this vault. But when I'm doing just the game stuff, I can only access what's in this vault. That's how I prefer it. So that if I'm on my phone, I can still play. But if I'm not on my phone, but if I'm like dedicated to working on something on the game, then I do it in the actual vault that's for the game. That way, I don't accidentally save unrelated things to the game in my game folder, and then I'll get confused and be like, where did I put that note or those 5 notes, and get stressed. So that's why we have a game vault. Also, so that if I'm doing this, like recording videos, which I only decided to do this morning, then I don't have to worry about a random note showing up that's unrelated to anything, because that sounds kind of stressful. So that is why, oh, there's a random, I'm like moving because the phone is in the way. Let me just move this here. Right. I was just moving a table that I copy pasted. If you're like, what? Did you spend the time typing all of this? No, I didn't. I'm grabbing it from the pre-existing tables that are in a spreadsheet, because M. Kieran is wonderful and has already put everything into a spreadsheet, and I'm just putting it into Google. I'm just putting it into Obsidian so it's easier for me. Look, lazy is relative. It's also being smart and efficient. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just making a note of when I was working on these entries, because I think it's nice from a what was I doing that day perspective, because I have daily pages. So that's why, that's what these are for. So I initially played this game on the 22nd of September. This is how I prefer to do the dates, because I believe it's called ISO 8061. ISO 8061. Oh my gosh. If you are coming into this video expecting a very polished, like, linear journey, no. this is gonna be, it's very like, fluid. Like my brain works in mysterious ways. I just want to tell you, it's not 80601. It is. Is it actually 8601? I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. I'm gonna check. Is this the? I'm talking about date standards. In case you're like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Okay. I accept your cookies. Are they delicious though? No. I just want you to explain what is the. Okay. YYYYMMDD. What ISO is that? Is the ISO, yeah, it's the international standard. It is at 8601. Okay. I thought it was 806. Well, no, I don't remember what I said. All right. So, unrelated to anything, but I love ISO 8601. I can't remember the name, the number, whatever, but it's such a good format in terms of date formats, the best, because if you start with the year and then the month and then the date, you're starting with the biggest number and then you're moving, like, biggest period of time, whatever, and then you're moving into the smaller numbers, like units of time, not numbers, because obviously they're 30 to 29 to 30, 28 to 31 days in a month, and that's a bigger number than 1 to 12, but you know what I mean, like units of time. It's the reason why it's beautiful, it's so elegant. Like, if you organize things by this date format, oh, it's so easy to search for things, because it's just like, well, obviously 2025 comes after 2024, so then you just don't get confused. You're not going to be like, wait, is this '09, like September, does that go first, or like does the 12th go first? Like, do I know? Because when I was growing up, like in the Philippines, we used the American date format. So it would be like month first, and then the date, and then the day, and then the sun, and then the sun, and then the year. And I would get confused. I don't know why, but I would always be confused. I'd be like, does the month go first or the day? Every single time. And I would figure out which way it was supposed to be based on, is the day bigger, like I would be happy with dates once we were past 12. Like, if it's like the 13th of the month onwards, I'm like, solid, I know how to do dates. But if it's between the 1st and 12th of the month, I would be so confused. I would just be like, I don't know if I'm doing the date right. It was very confusing. In New Zealand, and I think other countries, it's day of the month, and then the year, which is kind of like the opposite direction, where you're doing smallest to biggest. Like, that makes more sense to me than month, date, year. But it's still, to me, really, like, how do I say stupid without saying stupid? But it's like, it's not logical. Why would you do that? Like, for searching purposes, I don't need to know that. Like, why would I be searching '01 by '01? Like, okay, first of the month. No, I care more about the year, the month, the date. That makes more sense. I don't know how to explain this. Someone needs to go and, I don't know, explain it really well, and then I can link a video, or if you agree with me, link me a video that explains why this date format is the best. If you do not agree that this is the best date format, I don't know what to tell you. I think you're being illogical. Maybe for emotional reasons you prefer other date formats. And okay, fine, I can't begrudge you your preferences, but I still think you're wrong. And that's that, I guess. I'm willing to have my mind changed if there is a better date format out there that I'm just not aware of. But I discovered this date format a few years ago, and to me it just makes sense. What was I talking about? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, sorry. I needed to make a note. The way I'm gonna try and organize my notes is that if I'm doing a role or asking the oracle, the spirit of the forest, I'm sorry, why did it say it like that? If I'm asking the spirits a question, then I will put it in a call out, because I think thematically it looks nice. I might make it so that I'll do them like minus, so that you don't see the answer straight away. This is, if you're like, why? I'm watching you do the video right now. Well, the reason is because I'm also publishing the actual plays as text format because I like text. So, yes. If you think, so I'm using the tip call out. I don't know if that's the best call out because semantically speaking, I don't know if tip is the right call out box type, but it's, I don't know, it's the one I remember every time. If there's a better one, like result, I guess I could use that, except I don't know if result is a, well, let's just say if there is a better type of call out that I can use that is like standard. Like if it's standard and there's a better one, please tell me. If you're just gonna be like, why don't you just use note? I'm gonna be like, no. I don't know if note would be better than tip. These are the things I think about. Look, it's for accessibility reasons, okay? If a screen reader is reading this out loud, I don't know if it will, but in case it does, I don't want it to be like, here's a bug, and then it's not a bug. So, yeah, okay, I'm gonna try and focus. So, when are you moving? When are you... In the context of starting the game, it is, when are you moving to Iron Valley? I think for the purposes of asking the Oracle something, it'll be, like, because she's not moving, kind of. Then, when are you starting your adventure? And the answer to that was 49, summer 24. The game starts on summer 24. Excellent! Oh, look at that. See? Now it's a drop down. Ah! Okay, I prefer it with the minus, I think. So it's not a spoiler if you're reading. Or also because, like, it doesn't matter in the story, I guess. Like, what do you care if, like, you might not want to see the results. You might want to just read it like a story. Okay, so I'm just making a note that we're starting on summer 24. Now we know. Going back to this thing. How long do you plan to stay in town? I did not make a note. Do I need to make a note? I think the purpose of how long do you plan to stay in town is how long is your journey going to be? And since I want to play this as a romance, let's just say, well, I don't have a planned date. I just want the romance to play out. But also, let's say that she plans to travel for, let's say, how long do you plan to stay traveling from town to town? Let's say that she is traveling for 1 year, then we'll settle down and start her permanent tea garden and cafe. Okay, decision made. La 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 la. Okay. What does it look like if I click this button? It looks more or less the same, so I'm just gonna ignore that. This could be formatted a lot better, like really pretty, if I used one of the templates that like all the solo ttrpg or ttrpg people in general have made, but I just set up this vault this morning, so we'll take what we can get, right? All right, going back here. What are your strengths and weaknesses? We have decided that. Wonderful, we have stats. Do you have any skills that might help you here? Just to reiterate, they are foraging, brewing, bartering, and I said I was going to edit these, so I will do that now. Let me just think, which one did I say was going to be stronger? The one that will give this? I'm going to say bartering. I think that's what I decided earlier. Okay, movie magic. I've gotten rid of the boxes. They were very pretty. I don't think you could see them that well on screen anyway, but I got rid of them because it was hard for me to interpret. Also because every time I tried to click on them, it would make like a really long image URL, and that was not part of the vibes. So we've got those. And ooh, we went to the wrong one. +1 goes to bartering. Little hearts, very cute, very aesthetic. Okay. I know we already have this information. This is just for my reference when I'm making the promise tracker. When we get to it, that might be the next part actually. Your new life is about to begin. Wait. What about the promises? Was I supposed to do that first? Okay. I must be very confused or something. We definitely have to do the promises now. So we'll just do that now. And then we will actually get to the playthrough, which I think this is long. So I'm just we'll get to the promises first. And then I'll be like, ooh, wrap up or something. Okay. We're just gonna call it brew beautiful teas from my garden carriage. Carriage garden? Garden carriage. The garden is on the carriage. Drew. Brew beautiful teas from my garden carriage. Brew beautiful teas from my carriage garden. I feel like arguably garden should go first, but carriage garden sounds more correct. If you're watching this and you know grammar better than me, please tell me which one is better. I'm leaving it as it is because I don't want to overthink it. We're going to go steps and notes. And we'll leave that blank. And then new promise. Too many. New promise. Steps and notes. Actually, no, I'm not going to make it its own heading. As much as I want to make it a new heading, it's going to be annoying if I'm trying to search for this. So we won't do that. And then we're going to go... Actually, I'm going to go, how do you know you've achieved this? And then you'll put the answer there, and then steps and notes. And then let's have, how do I represent the squares? Like, is there a nice way to do this that's not super ugly, but also not, I don't know, tables in Obsidian are so rude. They're just, like, okay, see, I just broke it. This is, like, okay, we're deleting it. Oh, please go away. Delete column. No, delete the whole thing. Go away. Okay. If you can think of a better way for me to do this, please tell me and grace me with your knowledge, please. I'm just trying to be organized so that I can have fun playing this game and not be like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this wrong. The first thing is how many boxes? Like, should I just put box? No. Square. Oh wait, no, but then I can't put a number in it. Okay. So maybe it does have to be a table. Oh no, I don't like tables. Okay. Promise. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it knows what's up. We'll leave it like that and like, you can do it. We'll just make it so that it's like 1, 2, 3, and then if there are more, then I add them, and then we just assume that if it's 3 boxes. Actually, what if I just go for 5? Oh, I can't count either apparently. 6, 7. 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then what I'll do is, if you can see the box, we will assume that it's part of the promise, like you need it. But for the purposes of like for gameplay, then if I don't need the boxes, boom, I delete it. Ah, that's so much tidier. Okay, so that's less offensive to me. And then that way, if I'm ticking, I can be like, 1, 2. I meant to do that so much faster. 4, 1. Yeah, okay. Ah! So we'll do that. So that's promise number 1. Brew beautiful teas for my garden carriage. I'm thinking, I'm overthinking this. I'm gonna add details into these promise trackers like off camera, because I don't really think anyone wants to see me like dive into it. Unless you do, in which case, thank you. I'm glad I'm keeping your attention. That's wonderful. But also, like, it's kind of putting pressure on me to try and think about, like, how do I present this? So we've got brew beautiful teas for my garden carriage. I'm just trying to copy the style of the starting promises in the guidebook. It had like 6. So we've got brew beautiful teas for my garden carriage. Ta-da! Originally it was make 15 teas from garden. That didn't sound very exciting, so I've changed it. It's now more open-ended, but that leaves more room for interpretation in terms of like fulfilling the promise and doing more interesting narrative, like doing interesting things in the narrative. So I'm gonna leave it like I've changed it to that. The next one is gonna be to do with, I just completely forgot again. What was the third one? The third one. See, this is why I should have written it down, but then I got distracted and then I lost my thoughts, so then it happened again. Anyway, where are you staying in town? Donkey drawn carriage, wherever she may be, so fix up the carriage. So then this will be make the carriage into a wandering tea garden. Titular, wandering tea garden. We've referenced it. This is the part in the book where you're like, oh my gosh, she said it. She said the name of the book title. You know, like, okay. I'm the only one having that moment right now? Yeah, maybe. That's fine. That's cool. I'm gonna, just bear with me. What was the other starting promise? Because I don't know. Where are you staying? Why did you leave the big city? Oh, it was to do with the location. Okay, to do with the location. So we are gonna put this on top because I'm trying to follow the order. Oh my gosh, I actually did write it down, didn't I? You're like watching this and then you're thinking to yourself, Pat, you literally wrote this down in your world builder note. Start with 3 promises relating to the location or setting of the game. That's the first one. Okay. Memory. Okay. I'm trying to think of a reasonable promise. We're just gonna go with the, I guess it's kind of classic, but very open-ended. Explore the world. And it's Garden of Delights. To, I don't know, I guess to force myself to, A, look at it from the perspective of looking at gardening related things, and also B, thinking about it in terms of like delights, like sampling what the world has to offer, thinking about experiences. So it's not just like, I'm gonna look at all the plants. It's also gonna be like, I'm gonna see what this town has. Are there any rides? Ooh, can I go and do this workshop? I don't know. Like, do they have workshops in this world? Maybe, probably. I'm not gonna put information about how do you know you've achieved this or steps and notes at this stage. I'm gonna do that on my own at some point. I really, really like, this is my note. to myself and in general, like, Karen, thank you for actually adding the step of like, make sure you put your steps in notes, because that's so good. Like, if you're someone who struggles with executive function, like for example, you're neurodivergent, like you have ADHD, and I think autism also has that issue. Anyway, if you struggle with executive function, one of the tasks that you struggle with, likely, is breaking down tasks. So you're gonna look at this beautiful task and you're gonna be like, I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be incredible. And then you go, wait a minute, what do I do? So, this, breaking it down into different tasks and steps, is useful because then you're able to make it concrete, like what are the actual steps involved in doing this cool thing. And I think that's useful even in games. Like, yeah, it's a game. That doesn't mean your executive function is not still a problem. So this is very handy. And if you do struggle with executive function, that is a tip. Definitely break down your tasks. If you are like, but I did break down my tasks, I still don't know what to do, then in that case, my friend, break down the task some more. I think I have a note about that in my other vault where I think I said something like, if a task is easy but you can't do it, it's not easy enough. Like, and I say ease, like not like easy, like so easy, like easeful, like, can you do this with ease, in the sense that, can you, like, do you know what that entails, and can you do the thing in here and here. I don't know if that seems condescending, but like, genuinely, like, I know I can do hard things, but also sometimes I'm just like, I don't know how to do the thing. So sometimes you just have to break it down into little itty bitty bitty steps. And if the steps sound ridiculous to someone else, it's not their list. If your list has to say, go to the bathroom, it's still valid because you need it. It's better that you do the thing and it has like silly things on your task list than you don't do the thing. So, yeah. Anyway, those are the. Did I already do? Yeah. Wait, no. Explore World and its Garden of Delights. Brew Beautiful. So we're going to have 6 for that. Brew beautiful teas from a garden carriage. We're going to have 6 for that. Make the carriage into a wandering tea garden. The other thing that I forgot to mention, which I read in the guidebook, is that with the promises, you have to think about them in terms of difficulty as well as in terms of urgency. So if something isn't really urgent, it's not as, like, you kind of have to balance it out. So you add boxes for urgency and add boxes for complexity. A lot of things are kind of like, well, it is urgent and also complex, or it might be it's half urgent, half complex. It doesn't really, like, I was overthinking this earlier. I was like, oh my gosh, so I'm just gonna, like, what if I get the wrong number of boxes? It doesn't matter. So essentially, like, if you think 2 boxes, that's enough. Cool, right? 2 boxes. If it turns out narratively you're actually gonna take 6 before you complete it, that's cool. Like, just add the boxes. And it also said in the guidebook that if you're like, well, I'm just gonna grind out 5 million 1-box tasks and then I'm gonna own the game, like, just be the best, then you're min-maxing, and that's not the point of Iron Valley. Like, you wanna take it easy and just, cozy vibes and really go in depth. Like, I guess the longer, like, the journey, make the journey sweeter, make the journey better, more interesting. So more boxes is great. Yeah. So I'm happy with 6 boxes for Brew Beautiful Teas. I'm happy with 6 boxes. Wait, I missed one. Yeah. I'm happy with 6 boxes for Explore the. Actually, I'll make this one 7 boxes. No, 8 boxes. Yeah, you go and explore that world. Ugh. You go and explore that world, girl. The last one, make the carriage into a wandering tea garden. I'm gonna make that one 5 because I feel like it won't take as long. Maybe, I don't know. I could be wrong. It's fine. And then this is an extra one, so I'm gonna delete that. I think that's why I got confused. Okay, and then the new promise template is here. I don't know why I made that sound, but basically I can just add more. If you have thoughts on the colors I'm using for my obsidian appearance, you are welcome to share them, because I'm not a fan of the red and I just made it dark pink this morning. I literally set this up this morning. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing. Okay. So, if we go back to the guidebook, that is basically everything that we need to do before we start playing the game. Yay! So, I guess with that, do I need to recap? Is that what people do? So what we did today was I talked about the Iron Valley rules and guidebook somewhat. I talked about the Wandering Tea Garden a little bit, and we looked at doing some world building for the world that this game is going to inhabit, as well as constructed Sampaguita. She's the character, she's my player character. So yeah, we haven't gone into all the details, like I don't know, like skin color, eye color, hair color. I think I included some preliminary notes about that in my actual play for like the scene 1, but now that I know the rules for Iron Valley, in the sense that I have Iron Valley now, I might actually have to replay some of my, like, the stuff I've already done, which is gonna be fun because then it adds more richness to the game. So I love that. Yeah, I guess the last thing is just the series is gonna be called Tea Time with Your Orc Lover. I'm not sure if I'll change that. Like, I like it. I think it's cute. Tea Time with Your Orc Lover. Maybe like lover is a weird word. I don't know, but I don't want to say tea time with your orc sweetheart. Tea time with your orc. I guess you could say that. Tea time with your orc. But I don't know. Any suggestions are, welcome. Please do share. If you have come across this video and you're like, that is a bizarre name, please share your thoughts. But I really want this to be a romance game. Like, not romance game in the sense that, oh my gosh, she's gonna like try and get a man immediately. No. I think the best romances are ones where the main characters, both of them, like both love interests, have their own goals, their own desires, they have their own personalities, and they're both just like living life. And it just so happens that they find each other and then they grow together, and it's like a beautiful story. Like, yeah, there's probably going to be drama relating to the relationship, but it can't be like all of it. Like, you don't want to be the person who's like codependent and like the only thing going on is your partner. Like, that's not very fun. So it's more interesting if she's just happening to live life and also romance blossoms. But it is a romance game. Like, that's how I'm envisioning it. So in that sense, that I'm going to try and include romance tropes where I can. So, like, I don't know, like, if we can figure out a way to include fake dating or a marriage of convenience or okay, or like one bed trope. Ooh, okay. But like, obviously keeping it PG rated, right? Like, it's all about the unresolved sexual tension. So yeah, like, we're gonna keep it clean for the world, because I'm sharing this publicly. I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, Pat, you're like, you're reading smut to the internet. I'm not gonna do that. I might write smut, but I won't share it with the internet. Maybe. In saying that, I love smut. It's great. I love romance novels. I think we need to stop hating on romance novels. It is a valid genre. Okay, so that is it for today. We are actually gonna get into the scene 1, episode 1. I don't know what you want to call it. Like, we're gonna get into the actual gameplay next time, which I might record straight after this. But you won't see it straight away because I still have to edit this one and the next one. But yeah, it's actually been useful, like, going through this process, because now I feel like I fleshed out the world a bit more and I know my character a bit more about her motivations. So even though I've already technically played through like a couple scenes with this character and like the story has progressed a little bit, I'm gonna be able to look at it again and be like, oh, I'm gonna add these details, or oh, I'm actually gonna include these roles. So perhaps the outcomes are still the same, but how you get there slightly changes. And I think that's still fine. Like, I got this concept from a video I was watching the other day. I think it was from Man Alone. I'll try and link the video. There were like a couple people I watched about talking about solo RPGs. I really like what Man Alone had to say about solo RPGs in the sense that sometimes the excitement or the randomness or the he said it really well, but I can't remember how he said it. It was something like the randomness might be in the end or the randomness might be in the middle. Wait, maybe I can just pull that up. No, then I have to pull up my note. How do I say this? So when Man Alone was talking about solo RPGs, he was talking about how sometimes it's okay that the randomness gives you the outcome because, like, yeah, okay, you know the outcome, but how did you get to that outcome? That makes it interesting. Like, he gave the example of Star Wars, which honestly I haven't really watched it, but if you hang out on the internet, you know a lot about Star Wars in general. Like, you just hear about it. So he talked about in the context of if you watch the prequels, which sequentially they came out after the sequels, like the original trilogy, then you already when you're watching the prequels, because they came out later in the cinemas, you already know what's about to happen. Like, this little kid's gonna become Darth Vader or whatever, or all that stuff. But it's still interesting to explore the story. Like, how did that happen? How did we get to that point? So if I roll dice now and I'm like, oh, I came up with the outcome though. Well, yeah, okay, but now I'm just adding to it. Like, how did I get there? I don't know. I think that's cool. Yeah, I'll link to that video in the description because I thought it was a useful way to think about solo RPGs, especially as someone who is like new to the hobby and also really wanted to do it for a couple months now, but just felt like I don't get it. Like, how would I go about doing it? So that was a helpful video. I'll also link to another one that I found useful from a different channel. Yeah, but thanks for joining me. If you stayed until the end, wow, like how cool. Are we like best buddies now? Maybe. Yeah, thanks for joining me. I hope to see you next time when we actually start playing Iron Valley X Wandering Tea Garden in this series called Tea Time with Your Orc Lover. Okay, thanks guys. Kakite.